All right. So I did a review of the book, The Friends of Eddie Coyle, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. Maybe not as much as Elmore Leonard liked it, but I liked it. Thought it was a good movie. And I was like, oh, when as I'm doing my, I just read the book, and then afterwards I'm like, oh, there's a movie. They made a movie out of this book. George V. Higgins wrote it. I think it was produced 1970, and then they made a couple 3 years later, 1973, the Friends of Eddie Coyle movie. And I was like, well, let me look this up. Let me see, because a lot of times on these books, even though the book is 50 something years old, I'm like, oh, let me look up the movie, watch the movie, and it's like $7.99, and I'm like, I'm not paying $7.99. I pay enough for cable and Hulu, all the other Netflix, everything. I'm not doing this. But I go in, not high hopes I'm going to find it, and I found it. Pluto TV, free. You just got to get through a bunch of commercials, which is fine because that was just old school. I'm like, you know what? I'm not pausing anything. I'm just going to see if I can get up and get me a drink. I'm going to see if I can run to the bathroom. I'm going to see if I can do all this old school growing up. We all remember that. Or I remember like just my brother yelling in the other room, it's on, and then you had to go flying through the room so you didn't miss anything because there was nothing, you're not taping anything. That was totally in the weeds, and I'm leaving it all in. All right, Friends Eddie Coyle, 1973. Robert Mitchum. He does well enough. It's a typical, for me, from what I remember growing up watching Robert Mitchum movies. It's typical. He plays Robert Mitchum, so he's Eddie Coyle in this. Peter Boyle is in it, who you will remember from Everybody Loves Raymond. You will remember him from Young Frankenstein. You remember him from about 400 other more important things than those two. Although those two are important. The funny part is 1973, 50-something years ago, the dude's still bald. I'm like, do we have a picture of Peter Boyle ever having hair? I don't know. He plays Dylan, the bartender, in this. And Robert Jordan is also in it. So a lot of these guys, if you watch this movie, it was one of those where I laughed and I'm like, I see like the 3-4 bank robbers, and I'm like, I know all of these. I've seen all of these guys in all of these movies from the 70s. So the plot follows the book, okay? Completely follows the book. There is one spot towards the end where they change up the plot. That changes the ending a little bit, but not too much. And I think it's a better ending than in the book. So I was happy with it. And what's funny is, after having literally just finishing the book and then watching the movie, hours later, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of the same dialogue. And as they're going, I'm like, oh, he's going to talk about this, or he's going to, I'm saying, he, like, you know what's coming. So obviously they compress the story down a little bit. They speed things up a little bit, but not in a bad thing. I thought the plot was all still there. It's dirty, it's seedy, it's Boston in the early 70s. It was really good. So I guess it was the plot is inspired by the real life Winter Hill Gang. So, Boston, and the title is ironic because Eddie Coyle has no friends, is what this thing says here. So anyway, it's pretty good. We have a lot of good settings. There's a plot part that it's in the book, and at the end I was like, well, they never really, I don't know the point of that. They never really wrapped that up. And it's the same in the movie. So I was like, all right. But basically they're gun runners. They're bank robbers who need more guns, and Eddie Coyle is kind of the middleman between the bank robbers and Jackie Brown. He's he's the one who's getting the guns. So they go to the in the game in the book. They go to see a Bruins game. I was like, oh, I wonder if they're gonna show the game. They did some old school Boston Bruins playing. They talk about, like in the book, they talk about Bobby Orr and how great he's going to be, and on it. It's just it was good. It was very good. So a lot of people in this year, like I've seen this guy a million times. I know I know where he comes from, and I think I talked about it in the book review. So I also did a book review. Obviously, watched the book review as well. That Robert Mitchum wanted to hang out and talk with Whitey Bulger and his crew, and the author Higgins was like, "Yeah, do not do that." Cast member Alex Rocco, who grew up in Somerville and was a hanger-on the Winter Hill Gang during the 1960s, introduced Mitchum to Howie Winter. So Alex Rocco plays Jimmy Scalise. And Howie suggested the character Dylan, which is Peter Boyle's character, is a thinly veiled reference to Whitey Bulger, because both characters operate out of a bar, as well as freelance contract killers, and both are police informants. So, a good movie. I liked it. I actually liked it, and I was like, all right. And characters saying the lines, the dialogue, rather than me reading them in my head, it was also a little easier as well. And there's a lot of, again, most of the dialogue is just taken from the book and put right into the. So we're getting into the same asides. We're getting into the weeds on some conversations and different things, but it's still really good. So they filmed it throughout the Boston area, including Government Center in Boston, Dedham. I know I'm gonna mutilate these. Cambridge, Milton, Quincy, Somerville, Malden, Weymouth. Sequence in Boston Garden was filmed during an NHL ice hockey game between the Boston Bruins and the Chicago Blackhawks. So they basically just filmed during a game, which is cool. They filmed in Dedham Plaza, showing Woolworths, Barbo's Furniture, a bunch of other places. So it's pretty cool. If you grew up in Boston and you're really older than me even, then you'll recognize some of these places. So it was overall, this movie was not well received by the film-going public. It failed to place in the top 30 in film revenue in 1973 when it was released mid-year, or 1974, and failed to recoup its estimated $3 million budget in combined box office returns. It was, however, well reviewed by critics, and today is among the most highly regarded crime films of the 1970s by some. A critic at the time said the movie was shallow and tedious, and that the police and gangsters had no roots. Ooh, my stomach. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave it 4 stars. So on Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a 98% approval rating based on 42 reviews. The Friends of Eddie Coyle sees Robert Mitchum in transformative late career mode in a gritty, incredible character study. I like at one point he was like, "Oh, I'm getting too old, 51." I'm like, a couple things there, Mitchum. You look like you're in your early 70s. 51's not that old. A little aside also, 2009 bank robbery. I saw this before and it popped up again. June 16th, 2009, just a few weeks after the DVD release of this movie came out. The same bank was robbed in a manner reminiscent of how it was done in the film. Delroy George Henry drove up to the bank minutes before it opened. He then forced his way in the bank and tried to get the staff to open the vault. He also ordered staff to sit on the ground while brandishing a gun, just as was done in the film. An employee sent a text message to an employee in another branch who then called the police. A police officer working a detail 100 yards away responded quickly and apprehended Henry. Oh, there you go. Now, I believe I gave the book like a 4.1. I'm also going to give the movie a 4.1 rating of 5. I thought it was good. Not the greatest movie I've ever seen. Not the worst movie I've ever seen. Definitely a good one. If you are into vintage crime thrillers, you were interested in where it started and it doesn't, for you, it just doesn't start and end with the Godfather movies. This is a good one. This is a classic, I think. This is a movie that you're going to enjoy. It's also a book you're going to enjoy. So do both of those things. The guy who played the cop, Richard Jordan, he was also in Logan's Run. Les Miserables. Les Miserables. He was also in that. So there you go. So yeah, so let's see. Robert mentioned they just got 400 different things. So, all right, there you go. There's my review of the movie, The Friends of Eddie Coyle. Hopefully you don't like. Why does he got two of the same things? I see The Friends of Eddie Coyle up here twice. And going forward, if I can find a book, and there's also a movie made out of it, I'll read the book first. I think you got to read the book first. And then I will watch the movie and do a review and try to watch a movie like right away. You know, I think that would make it better because then you remember a lot of the parts and whatnot. So there you go. The Friends of Eddie Coyle. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. I do a lot of movie reviews. I do a lot of book reviews. I do TV series reviews. I do a lot of writing videos. I do a lot of videos. I'm live 3 days a week, writing live, mostly talking to people. So come in and join me. Come hang out with me on my YouTube channel. I am having a lot of fun with this, and people are coming in. You know, people are coming in and hanging out with me. So I think that's a good thing. So there you go. The Friends of Eddie Coyle.